All right. Harry, good morning. How you doing today?
Hey Camilo, good morning to you. I know we're in different places in the United States today, so who knows where our folks are at today. But good morning to you.
Right, that's the beauty of immigration as well, right? I mean, we are in
That's
different
right.
places, lots of people interested in different options, different countries, different nationalities, but most of them or all of them with one big goal, trying to
That's right.
immigrate into the United States of America.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, United States, I would say, when you look at the world and all the things happening in the world with economies and maybe wars, that United States continues being the tallest mountain in the world. So here we hope to be able to share information as to how you can best immigrate to the United States.
That's right. So let me, everyone, thank you for your time for being here. We're not gonna take more than half an hour of your time, but I believe this half an hour you can take fully advantage, so you can understand better how the EB-5 world works. And also, if you have any questions, let us know because we're here happy to answer. We're here with the CEO of Logica, and just so you guys know, I'm gonna tell you a brief story about our firm, Logica. So we are an immigration boutique law firm. We are located in Miami, Florida. We have three offices, two offices in Miami, one office outside Miami, and we have attorneys. I will say, well, in Miami here, we have an attorney. We have attorneys in Miami. We have attorneys in Tampa, Pennsylvania, before New York. But most
Yep,
importantly, our clientele is everywhere.
everywhere.
So Harry,
Ev-
talk to us. You are
Yeah.
the CEO of Logica. If you can tell the
Yeah,
public, the people who are watching this video about who we are and what's our job as well.
absolutely. So I would be remiss if I didn't introduce you properly. So I want everyone to know that I am CEO, certainly, and Camilo, he's also co-founder. He's our chief marketing officer, and we've been working. We started Logica back in at the end of 2012, actually 2013, at the very beginning of 2013. So we really grown this business to be an excellent customer service law firm with great reputation. So thank you, Camilo, for all the years of hard work we put into this. And go ahead, Camila.
No, no, go ahead.
All right, wonderful. So, do you want me to start talking a little more about the EB-5?
So
All right.
listen,
Yeah.
before we get into the law, which I know that
Yeah.
you have plenty of experience to explain to us every single requirement, um, what about the benefits? Because that's really important, right? That's what people want to
Yeah.
actually go and see. Okay, what do I get? So,
Cool.
as you can tell, there are like four main points. One is the path to permanent residency. So, in this case, you go directly to the green card. Okay, so basically, in this case, you are able to live in the US. You are able to be like if you were a US citizen. That's very important. After 5 years, you can actually apply to become a US citizen. Becoming a US citizen is not a right, it's a privilege. Not
That's
everyone
right.
can apply, but you know what? If you're a green card holder, most likely you want to become a US citizen. And to apply to be naturalized, it doesn't take that much time, it doesn't take that much effort, it takes full responsibility, obviously. You need to get an attorney as well to basically file the case. But this is a huge benefit because if you're able to become a US citizen now, you can live everywhere you want to, right? Let's say about your
Absolutely.
family as well. Then it's not only the green card for myself, it's the green card for my spouse. I have to be legally married, and green card for my children. And a
That's
child under
right.
the immigration code basically is someone who's under 21 and is unmarried, basically not married. So lots of people
Correct.
here in the US, outside the United States, they want to weigh, hey, how can I get the green card? Well, this is the easiest way to get a green card, to be able to travel within the United States, to be able to travel outside the United States, to be able to work in the United States, for their kids and families to be able to be educated in the US. And that's the benefit, that's the beauty of the EB-5. What
Absolutely,
else?
Camilo.
What else am I missing, Harry?
Well, Camilo. I think what we got to think about is that through the EB-5, the investment that these candidates will make will render huge results because typically if it's a small family of young family, think about the earning potential of everyone in that family, not only just the investor but the earning potential of the spouse, the earning potential of the children if they're young. What does their life look like over the next 15 to 20 years once they're green card holders? It's probably worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? Because of your ability to be part of this market, be part of the society and community. So you have to kind of look at this investment that way.
That's right. And in a case like this, very important. You need an employer basically depending on someone or on something, whether the case is going to approve or not. In this
Correct.
case, you depend on yourself. You make the investment, and because of your investment, obviously, if you meet the criteria of the EB-5 regulations and law, then you're gonna become a green card holder, right? The
Correct.
program is getting attraction, especially since the last law EB-5 law was enacted, and I believe that a lot of people are actually applying right now, and this is very important. Especially, you know what, our clientele is not the investor, let's say from Asia or Latam or Europe, that are just dying to come to the US. It's people who actually, you know what, they wanna have an option B for themselves or even for the
Right.
family. They say, you know what, I'm okay
Right.
in Colombia, I'm okay in India, I'm okay in Pakistan, but I want my kids to be able to have a better education. I want my kids to
Right.
be able to move freely. I want my kids to be able to have this career in the United States, and that's most of our clientele. It's not even the investors
Uh,
themselves; it's the children.
Correct. That's correct because a clientele naturally to get into EB-5 they need to be wealthy. So that means that they've already done well for their lives. So now they're looking towards the future. They're looking towards how can we build more for our children or for our family, right? So that's really important to point out.
All right, so now let's get into the requirements because that's very important. We need to,
Sure.
well, we got
So
more. Let me see more benefits here. Well, let's explore one thing here that we already like touch a few things
touched, yeah.
here. Well, the sponsorship. Obviously, you don't need a job offer. You don't need an employer. You depend yourself. We already spoke about
Right,
this.
and that's very powerful, right? Because it's you stand alone without the support or the whimsical desires of an employer. If an employer starts a green card process for you, and he changes her mind in the middle of the process, you're done. The
Right?
process is over. So here with EB-5, you take control of your life and your career. You're not depending on someone else's ability to pay your salary or a change in the market that maybe results in a loss of a potential job. So EB-5, you are in control.
Right. But now the potential for capital gain, it depends. Obviously, the EB-5 is not an investment per se that you're just going to go and make a 20-30% return investment. It doesn't work like that. And you shouldn't be thinking about that. You should be thinking how secure the project is so I actually get the green card and complies with the 10 jobs that each project must be created. Now, directly, indirectly, it depends. And we're going to explain to you guys how the law works. But there are some projects that, you know what, especially nowadays that they are offering some percentage of interest in order to get some money back. So that's good. But to citizenship, well, Harry, as you know, we go to you know what
Yeah,
the big key here is that once you're a US citizen, and let's say that I want to go back and live in Argentina, well, I go to Argentina. I don't need to meet the US residency requirements that to avoid losing the green card. And that's
correct.
key. That's very important.
Yeah, Camille, very often do we get phone calls from people who have had the permanent residency, green card through some other process, spend 1, 2, 3, 5 years outside of the country, and then they call me and say, "Hey, can you make sure that my green card is still good?" And it's kind of
That's
funny
right.
because I say, "Well, maybe you should have asked us before you left. If your green card was to be good." So once you become a citizen, right, you cannot lose your citizenship because you're outside of the United States for more than a year. So many people want to go home to their families and spend time with their parents and spend more than just 6 months or a year's time. Once you become a citizen, after having 5 years of permanent residency, you can have it, right? So long as you're have good moral character in the United States or anywhere in the world, you will have this for the entire family.
That's right. And that basically means that some people actually get worried about this because, especially here in the United States, especially in the South, because they just go and say, okay, what do you mean? You have X amount of money and then you become a green card and then you're a citizen. Well, you know what? The law establishes that and you can do that. Take fully advantage of that because that's the way how the law works now. We don't know what's going to happen in 20 years, right? We don't know that.
Yeah.
But what we know
We,
is that
we
people
don't.
can apply now and they can do it.
Yeah, and we don't know how things can change during the next presidency. I mean, Camilo, we've seen three administrations, right? We've been practicing through the Obama administration, through the Trump administration, through the Biden administration, and we don't know what's the next administration is going to be. Maybe it's Biden, maybe it's someone else. But we certainly have seen how, every 4 years, or every 8 years, when we have a president, there's a change in the law, right? That could affect for you or against you. So you have to act soon.
Yeah, it looks more like the next administration looks more like the color of our logo at Logica. Who knows? It can be
Who
red, it can be
knows?
blue, but most likely it's leaning to red. But we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, what we do is that we have to play, excuse me, with all administration and with the law, and just make sure that our clients follow regulations and the benefits for the family. Obviously, that's very implied. Wife, husband, children get the green card as well.
Right.
Okay, they get the green card as well. And if the families are in the United States, they can actually adjust the status in the United States, meaning that they can apply for the work permit and the travel document. That's very, very important. We didn't have that
Correct.
a few years ago. This what actually was in the new package from 2020, and this is basically 2022, I'm sorry. And this is basically helping a lot of families to be able to go and work, to be able to travel and wait for the interview here in the United States of America. So now let's go into the requirements so we can actually explain uh, to everyone how does it work.
All right. So we go to the next slide.
All right, let's go. So
All right. All right. So, all right, here. So go ahead, Camilo. You want to explain the breakdown?
yes, I'm gonna go. Let's go one on one. What do you think?
Sure.
So we make it
Let's do it.
interesting here for the people. So
Yeah.
investment amount. So in this case, actually the law has changed. Okay, because we need to start the way how it works. All right. So in 1990, the amount was $500,000, five
Correct.
hundred thousand dollars, and or $1 million, right? And in that case, people were like, Camilo, what do you mean $1 million? What is the difference? Why?
Right.
Well, it depends on the TEA, targeted employment area. What is targeted employment area? In that, I mean, by then and even now, it was an area that was out of the city, so a rural area, or like an area in which the unemployment rate was above 150% compared to national average, right? So in
Eh,
that case, there are
yeah.
areas, special areas, Harry, that if they are in the TA, then you only
Yeah.
have to invest $500,000 in the 1990s, right?
Correct.
And if
Yeah.
they were like in a regular area, like business area, let's say downtown
Man-
Chicago,
Manhattan.
Manhattan,
Yeah. Yeah.
Miami, LA, well, you know what? You had to actually invest $1 million.
Right.
So
But
then,
even outside of those areas, even outside those, but just outside those areas, there could be high levels of unemployment, right? Just outside.
100%,
Right. Yeah.
there are like people who basically their only job is to look into, I don't want to say loophole because it's not loopholes, but it's areas in which the unemployment rate is higher. So they go
Right.
and develop those areas, and you know what? They make these areas really pretty nice, lots of jobs, and that's what the US government wants. So the amount then for a certain period of time went to $900,000 and 1.8 million dollars during the Trump administration, right?
Correct.
But then what happened? What happened was that there was litigation, as always, in EB-5, right? And the way how they enacted the law, basically, the federal judge said, like, you got to go back to $500,000. You got to go back to $1 million. And I believe by then we had like 2 weeks to submit like a bunch of cases, right? Because
At
it went back to
500,000.
$500,000, yeah, and
Yeah.
$1 million. And then finally, what is the final amount? Well, it's $1,050,000, $1,050,000, or $800,000 if it's in a
Right.
TEA area. That's the
Right.
final law. All right. So just so everyone is clear, $800,000. Okay, if it's the project or my company is located in a targeted employment area, or $1,050,000 if it's outside a TEA zone. So this is very important because then you can say how much is it? Well, what is the minimum? What is the max? Hey, that's it. 800,000 or 1,050,000. That's it. It's not like 2
Correct.
million. It's not 1.5.
And
You can
now,
invest more if you want, if you have your own project, but that's something completely different.
yeah, that's something a little different. We can talk about this later, but also think about this. This visa option was created in the 1990s, early 1990s, right? Where $500,000 used to be a lot of money. It's probably $500,000 then is probably worth 3 times or much more today, right? So it still is a bargain, even at $800,000. after 30 plus years of this program, it only went up another $400,000. Sorry, $300,000. It's still a bargain. So you really have to think about the value that this is bringing.
100%. And we're not saying that
Mhm.
$800,000 is basically nothing. Hey, who has
Nothing. Yeah.
$800,000 in cash? But at the same time, you become a green card holder, you and your family, and you get the money back, which we'll explain later on. Obviously, it depends on the project. So it's lending money, you're getting the money back. Listen, it's not a bad deal if you have the resources to do so. What about
Yeah.
the source of funds and path
Yeah.
of funds, Harry? That's very important. That's key of EB-5. How can
Okay.
you
Yeah.
explain to us why is that important?
Absolutely. So the United States is concerned about the source of funds because they want to make sure that the money is coming from legitimate sources. Certainly, the United States does not want to be supporting anything illegal from the manufacturing of drugs or any illicit type of thing. So what we need, so part of our job, one of the most important steps that we do in the EB-5 process is analyze the source of funds to make sure that we can clearly demonstrate where this money is coming from. So the United States feels comfortable to say, yes, we will help this person become a permanent resident because they're an honest person. The money's come from a honest and legitimate source. That's part of our job. And many times the rest of the world doesn't have very clear accounting. So it is a very meticulous job that we must do to demonstrate that it is a very healthy source of funds. In regard to the path of funds, it's a similar idea. We have to demonstrate how the money actually made it to the United States. And Camilo, maybe you can give a little more detail on the path of funds.
So in other words, the source of funds, we need to go back and trace it, how this money was
Yeah,
originated, right? And then we go, let's
originate.
say
Yeah,
that if it was a gift, then we need to go back to whoever was giving the gift to this person. And then we need to see, okay, was this an inheritance? Was this capital gains to a company? Was this savings? And we need to go back. Usually we go back 5 years just to understand how the money was originated and whether, and obviously it has to be from a legal source, right? It can be
yeah,
something illegal. Most
right,
of the issues that we encounter is not that the money is illegal the way how they earn it, but they can't trace it because they don't report it. So that's something
right,
that
right.
on a case-to-case basis we need to look at the case. We need to check with our clients, and we need to make sure that we're able to trace it
Yeah,
to be able to apply for EB-5. Now, the path of funds is how the money comes to the US, right? Let's say that we have a special cases with clients from Argentina. Argentina has changed, and we'll see what happens with the new administration. But usually, people can wire money just from Buenos Aires to LA. Doesn't work like that. So
yeah,
they usually find different way how the money arrives into the US, and we need to look, okay, how did the money came here? And we need to just follow the path of funds to make sure that we guide our clients to make sure that we do it the right way. So two things that we can learn.
correct.
One, we go back 5 years, how the money was originated. If we have to go back to 10 years, we do so. But we need to find legal sources such as selling a property, selling cars, selling houses, selling a company,
Right.
dividends, distributions, salaries, savings, gifts, inheritance. All of those are legal sources.
Yeah,
And now,
yeah,
once we are able to track, then we're just going to, okay, how this money is going to come to the US. So it's going to be invested in the project. That's usually the way how it works. Now,
right.
let's go into the third requirement, which is the creation of jobs. And this is very
Uh,
important. So
yeah.
go ahead, Harry. Well,
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the creation of jobs. So you have
please.
to think about why is it that the United States has this program? It's because the United States is inviting those who have the wealth to bring it to the United States, so that in the United States we can create jobs and opportunities for our citizens and our residents in the United States. So a major requirement is that the money that is invested goes to employ 10 people for at least 2 years, right? And that's the exchange that we have here. That's the exchange that we have here. By you making your $800,000 investment, we want to make sure that 10 Americans get employed for at least 2 years, right? And you're going to say, well, that's a lot of responsibility on me. Why do I want to actually manage 10 people for 2 years? The answer is that for the great majority of you, probably 90% of you, you will not be managing anybody, because there are several EB-5 projects that exist across the United States that will be responsible for making sure that your $800,000 goes to employ 10 people. And not only will you be that one investor, you're going to be one of several, maybe one of 100, 200, 300 people or more who are all investing. And these are many times these are very large projects. So there's the project developers have already done their economic analysis to ensure that every tranche of $800,000 goes to fulfill that requirement of 10 people being employed for 2 years. So go ahead, Camilo.
That's right. I'm actually in a conference, guys. So if you guys hear a lot of music, I believe they just got a party started here, even though it's only 9:50 in the morning in Miami. But look into the last one. Investment in new commercial enterprise is basically related to the creation of jobs as well. Because if I was an investor, if I were an investor, I'd invest in $800,000, and I can invest in my own company, a new company. That's very important. Then
Yeah.
what happens in that case, Harry, is that I'm going to invest 800,000 or 1,050,000, depending on whether it's a TA or not. But then I have
Right.
to create 10 jobs, direct jobs. So in W2, in payroll. So if I go and add up, you know what, 10 jobs for a period of 2 years, that can be 1 million, 1.5 plus my investment in my own enterprise. Let's say that I go and buy a franchise, or that I go and buy a business, or I go and do X, Y, and Z. Then that basically means that most likely I'm going to invest like a lot of money. So the regional center program was created, was enacted in 1992, in order to be able to attract a pool of investors in one single project. The regional center is a private entity that has a license approved or pending with USCIS, which is the immigration department. And this regional center, what they do is that they sponsor projects. And the beauty of the regional center figure is that direct, indirect, and inducive employee jobs are allowed. So you don't need direct jobs. You can actually you can have indirect jobs. You can have induced jobs. Let's say that you create like a hotel, and in the lobby they put a McDonald's, a Starbucks, or in the corner.
Right.
Hey, those jobs count as well. And that's the beauty of the regional center, that people say, you know what, I don't want to go and create a business. I may want to, but you know what? I don't want to do it. I just want to be able to invest.
Right.
That's it. Someone is going to go and raise capital to basically build the building. That's possible through the regional center. All right.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So that would be in the case if it's that the investor is going to do his own commercial enterprise. But I will tell you that the vast majority of EB-5 investors are passive investors who, in lieu of starting their own business and doing that 1,050,000 investment, they'll do the $800,000, and then they just allow the system to work for them. And of course, not because they're going to be one of several investors, the risk is much more lowered, is much lower, because now it's the risk is spread across dozens or hundreds of people, right? And so as opposed to the risk of one person managing this one business, right? So something
That's right.
to think about.
Right. And the level, the participation in management in the individual projects, the investor must actively be participating. Through the regional
Right.
center is completely different. Everything
Right.
changes. Okay, so that's very important. We already spoke about the TA, so that's very important to select a project. Highly important. You need to understand uh, that there must be an economic analysis, a business plan, just to see where the project is located or where your company is going to be located. And that's really important. What about the process itself? What about it, Harry? So the main form in order
Yeah,
to apply for EB-5 is going to be the form I-526, which can
that's
be
correct.
I-526 or I-526E, where there is a regional center sponsored program.
Correct.
This first step is actually going to be filed in the United States, whether the person, the investor and family is in the United States or outside the United States. I-526 or I-526E is filed in the United States. What about the the change of status, so people can understand, because there is a lot of questions in change of status. How does that apply?
Right.
Can I change the status if I'm in India or if I'm in Pakistan? How does it work?
Right. Yeah, well, if you are outside the United States, India, Pakistan, elsewhere, you're not really changing your status because you have no status, right? You're outside the United States. The whole change of status or adjustment of status occurs when you're inside the United States. So, for example, let's say that you are an F1 student or you're on an E2 visa in the United States, and you apply for this I-526, which gives you, the EB-5 benefits. And then if you're here lawfully in the United States, you may adjustment of status, AOS, right? Where you go from a non-immigrant visa to an immigrant visa. That's the
Correct.
adjustment, right? Whereas if you're going from, say, an F1 student visa, which is a non-immigrant visa, over to another non-immigrant visa like an H-1B, that is just a change of status. So this whole adjustment or change happens within the United States. When you're outside, you're asking for benefits that the embassy will provide you.
Right, through the national visa center, meaning that also take
Correct.
into account that before 2022, you couldn't do adjustment of status in the United States. You had to go and wait for the I-526 to be approved, and then maybe do adjustment of status, or maybe do the process through consular processing, right? So that basically changed. And very important, once the I-526 is approved, then you go into the process of the green card. The green card is going to be given for 2 years. It's a conditional green card, okay? And in addition to that, 90 days before the 2 years expire, you need to file a case, which is the removal of conditions, in order to
Yeah.
get the permanent residency, taking into account the following: the 2 years of conditional residency, this time count in order to go and get the citizenship, to apply for the citizenship. Okay, so that's
Right.
very important. Look at two things that the law has changed as well, so people can actually start thinking about it. One is that the investment requirement has changed, meaning that if you invest today, in 2 years, if you go through a regional center program, the the fund, or in this case the project, should be able to return the money to you, and that's
Correct.
it, as long as you created 10 jobs. That's very important. That's pretty new, and this is
That,
fantastic. All right,
exactly. So basically, your investment will typically be 4 or 5 years, depending on the project,
more
right?
for some people from
More.
India and China, 10 years, 12 years, who knows, until the removal of conditions actually is approved. Imagine, things have
That's true.
changed.
Yeah. But at the end of the process, you will get that money back. Now you have to talk to the project that you selected, the company that is managing this, to make sure
Right,
that all the conditions are correct. But the vast majority of people will get their money back, and with some interest earned. Right now, the interest typically is going to be very low. Don't expect returns of 7, 8, 9%. It's probably going to be
impossible.
somewhere between
Run if you see those
between
projects,
zero.
run.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
run. Your expectation should be 0 to 1%, maybe something a little better. But why is this? Because your return on investment is the green card.
this is
So
not an
you,
investor visa
yeah,
to go and get money,
right.
guys. If you want
No,
to do that, we can introduce you to brokers who may have projects in order for you to invest, or like our strategic alliance. So
right.
this is to go and get the green
Yeah,
card. Still, you can get a little and bargain for it, but
yeah,
just watch out that this is not just to go and get a like a 5, 7, 8. No, no, no.
yeah.
That's not the way how
These
it
are
works.
very
But yeah,
these are very
imagine the
stable.
fault.
These are very stable investments. Yeah.
If that was the way, why are they doing it? Why the developers are offering that? Why don't they just go to
Right.
the bank?
Let me explain that part, the financial part of it. The reason these developers do this is because they're looking for cheap capital. Okay, so imagine yourself a pie chart. Let's say we divide it in 25%, right? 4 parts. 25% of the investment will come from EB-5, and the cost of capital will be 0, 1%. Another 25% will come from the bank. We'll charge them 7 to 9%. Right. Another one will come from outside investors. Hard money investors might charge 12%, and then the other fourth might be coming from their own money. Right, and we don't know what the cost could be. Maybe it's maybe it's somewhere around 10%. When you do the weighted average cost of capital of all four sources, the fact that they have this tranche of 25% investors coming from EB-5 has now lowered the overall cost of capital for everyone. That's why these projects want your money, because it's cheap for them to pay it back, whereas all the other sources are expensive. So, and in return, you get your green card, right? That's your return. They get cheap investment capital, and the United States also wins because they've ensured that 10 people for 2 years got employed for approximately full-time jobs. That's the win-win-win. The United States wins because Americans get employed. the projects win because they have cheaper capital. It's less expensive for them to manage, and you win because you got your green card for your entire family. That's the trade-off. That's the exchange that we have here.
That's right. And for some people, before we go into questions, that they wonder, yeah, but it's taking too much time, and I want to be waiting 5, 6, 7 years. You know what? There is a way how you can actually try to expedite your green card, which is through writ of mandamus, basically suing the government to making sure,
Yes.
you know what, you need to act on my case. That's what many clients are doing,
Yeah.
projects, regional centers, and so on, and many law firms suing the government, saying, hey, approve it, deny it, but say something so we can actually move
Make a
forward.
decision.
Yeah, let's do the questions. So our team is gonna actually like okay, let's go into the first question here so you can answer the question. So
All
if
right.
I start the process today and my daughter turns 21 in August, does she also go does she also get the American residency?
Uh, Interesting. Well, first off, make sure your daughter is not married, right, or doesn't get married anytime before she turns 21. Very important. Second, there is the Child Protection Act,
That preserves.
and right, which will do the following. So long as you file your petition before she turns 21 and she is unmarried, and even if your green card process is not yet approved, this law will protect her, so that she is essentially treated as if she's a minor until she gets the green card. So, sir, Fernanda, Miss, make sure she doesn't get married. File early before she turns 21. So you need to act fast.
That's right.
Brenda
Okay,
Bagnoli.
Harry, how long does it take from the time I make the investment until I receive the green card?
Camille, want to take it?
Well, it depends. I've seen cases like the expedited exemplar in 1 year. I've seen other cases in 4 or 5 years, but usually it should be 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah. So back to Fernanda, her original question. If it takes 4 to 5 years, your daughter will be 26. So that's why it's really important to file before she turns 21, so she's protected. Okay, and don't let her get married through the process either. Have a boyfriend. But don't yet get married. Her next question is, what kind of projects can I invest in to apply for this visa? Well, Fernanda, if you're going to be one of the typical EB-5 investors, about 90%, and there's many EB-5 project types. The majority will be real estate based, which provides probably the greatest stability and comfort for investors. There are some technology based projects. They're found across the United States, from California from the West Coast to the East Coast. Being that we're in Florida, we're more familiar with the ones in the East Coast, from New York through Florida. But it really depends on you looking at the projects, doing your analysis, figuring out what's best for you.
All right. So please, everyone that is watching this live, or that are actually going to later on like watch the video, well, you can follow us at Logica in any of our social media. If you have any questions, concerns, you want to know more about EB-5, or maybe you're not interested in EB-5, but you're interested in an EB-2, in an EB-1, in a family case, well, that's what we do. We do, our magical words are love, talent, and money. That's what we do in
Right.
immigration. All right. Family immigration, employment immigration, and investment immigration. That's everything that we
That's
do at
correct.
Logica. Harry, you want to close live?
Sure, certainly. All right, folks. So thank you so much for being with us today. And if you're watching later on, thank you for watching this video. Logica is here to help. We are a law firm that really focuses on high customer service, and we want you to feel comfortable working with us. We have a really strong and capable team of lawyers and legal professionals that are here to help. So talk to Logica. We're ready to talk to you. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year. Have a successful 2024.
Thank you, guys. Have a good